A few years ago, I pitched a genuinely bad idea to a room full of people. I don't even need to tell you what it was. Just trust me. Bad. The kind of idea that should have gotten at least one, "Are you sure about this?" Nobody said it. 6 people. 6 nods. One guy actually said, "Honestly, I think this could be huge." I did it anyway. It cost me almost $4,000 and about 2 months I'm not getting back. Here's the part that actually bothers me though. It wasn't the money. It was that not one person in that room told me the truth. And I've spent a long time since then trying to figure out why. Because the more I looked into it, the more I realized this wasn't really about that one bad idea. It was about something that happens to almost everyone the moment they start doing a little better financially. Something nobody warns you about, and something I didn't notice happening to me until it already had. If you're into the psychology behind money, wealth, and the financial decisions that shape our lives, consider subscribing. I'm Jake, and I've spent way too much time making money mistakes, so you don't have to. So why did 6 people watch me walk into a bad decision and say nothing? Let's get into it. Here's what I didn't understand back then. The moment people think you have money, even a little more than before, the feedback you get from them quietly changes. Not because they're bad people, because disagreeing with you suddenly feels riskier to them than it used to. I noticed it first with small things. I'd mention a purchase, and instead of the honest reaction I used to get, I'd get this pause, a little nice that didn't sound like it meant it. I used to think people were just being polite. Now I think they were doing math. If this goes well for him, and I told him not to do it, that's awkward. If it goes badly, well, it's his money, not mine to have an opinion about. Nobody decides to do this consciously. It's just easier to agree. Disagreement costs something, a little tension, a little risk of looking jealous or negative. And the wealthier or more successful someone looks, the more that cost seems to go up in other people's heads. So the no doesn't disappear because you got smarter. It disappears because everyone around you quietly decided it wasn't worth saying anymore. And once I understood that, the bad pitch made a lot more sense. But it also made me nervous, because if it had already happened to me a little, how far could it actually go? You hear stories about people who get rich fast and end up surrounded by yes men. I always assumed that was about ego. Like, they wanted people who just agree with them. I don't think that's usually true anymore. I think it's simpler and sadder than that. I think the honest people don't leave on purpose. They just get quieter. And the people who are fine agreeing with everything get louder, because there's less competition for the space. It's not that you go looking for yes men. It's that no slowly stops showing up in the room, and something has to fill the silence. I actually did this to a friend of mine. Not Marcus, someone else, a guy I used to work with. He got a promotion, started making noticeably more, and texted me one night about an investment he was about to put a big chunk of it into. I had real doubts, specific ones. I opened the message thread and started typing them out. 3 sentences, then a 4th explaining the actual math that worried me. I sat there with my thumb over send for what felt like a full minute. Then I deleted all 4 sentences, one at a time, and typed, "Let me know how it goes," instead. I remember putting the phone face down on the counter afterward. That specific feeling, the one right after you talk yourself out of saying something true, sitting in my chest like I'd eaten too fast. It didn't work out, by the way, and I never told him I'd almost said something. That's the part I still think about. Not that I was wrong to have doubts, but that I watched myself choose the comfortable text over the honest one, in real time, and did it anyway. Here's the part that actually scares me a little. You'd think the more successful someone gets, the more access they'd have to honest feedback, better advisors, smarter friends, more people paying close attention to their decisions. It's usually the opposite. The more layers you add between yourself and other people, the assistant, the manager, the team, the "we'll run it by him," the fewer people are close enough to just tell you something's a bad idea to your face. Marcus told me something once that stuck with me. We were sitting in his car in a parking lot, waiting for it to stop raining, and out of nowhere he said the only person left who still argues with him about money is his older sister. Because she's known him since he was 7, and genuinely does not care if he's annoyed with her for a week. He said it looking straight out the windshield, not at me, like it cost him something to admit it. "Everyone else just kind of manages me now," he said. I asked what he meant. He said people used to just tell him things. Now they tell him things carefully. There was a long pause after that, just rain on the windshield. I didn't fill it with anything because for once, I actually understood exactly what he meant. That's the trap. It's not that people with money become bad listeners. It's that the truth stops reaching them at all. It gets wrapped in enough padding along the way that by the time it arrives, it barely says anything. And you can't always feel it happening from the inside. It just looks like everyone around you got unusually supportive all at once. So what actually protects people from this? I don't think it's being humble in some general sense. I think it's specific and almost mechanical. It's keeping at least 1 or 2 people in your life who knew you before any of this, before the promotion, before the good year, before people started being careful around you, and actually asking them what they think out loud instead of waiting for them to volunteer it. Because here's the thing I've noticed. Even the honest people in your life will hold back a little unless you make it clearly, obviously safe to disagree with you. Not just, "I'm open to feedback" as a thing you say. Actually reacting well the one time someone tells you something you didn't want to hear, so they know it's safe to do it again. I started doing this on purpose after the $4,000 idea. I picked 2 people and told them straight up, "If you think I'm about to do something dumb with money, I need you to actually say it, even if it's awkward, and I promise I won't get weird about it." It's worked exactly once so far, which sounds like a small number, but that one time saved me more than the 2 months and $4,000 combined. I don't think the goal is staying poor enough that people still feel comfortable arguing with you. That's not really the trade anyone should have to make. I think the goal is noticing when the room starts going quiet and getting suspicious of it instead of enjoying it. Because the version of me standing in that room, getting 6 nods and 1, "This could be huge," felt good in the moment. It felt like being taken seriously. It wasn't that. It was just the sound of people deciding it wasn't their place to stop me. I'd rather have 1 person willing to tell me I'm wrong than 10 people willing to tell me I'm right. That's not a humble brag. It's closer to a survival strategy at this point, after watching what the alternative actually costs. I think about that room a lot. 6 nods. 1 guy leaning forward, genuinely excited for me. Not 1 person willing to be the one who said it might not work. I used to think the lesson was trust your gut more. I don't think that's it anymore. I think the real lesson is that the higher you climb, the quieter the truth gets. Not because people stop caring about you, but because disagreeing with you starts to feel like it costs something it didn't used to. So if you've got someone in your life who still tells you when they think you're wrong, even when it's awkward, even when you don't want to hear it, that person is worth more than almost anything else success can buy you. Hold on to them, and actually listen when they use it. Tell me about a time someone should have told you no and didn't. I read every comment. And if you want more of this, subscribe, because the psychology behind the money decisions we make and rarely talk about honestly is exactly what this channel is about. I'm Jake. I'll see you in the next one.